CBS News chief congressional correspondent Nancy Cortez joins us now from Capitol Hill. Nancy, what do we know about this bipartisan measure, and what does it hope to accomplish?
We know that it's a product of a lot of hard work by Democrats and Republicans in the Senate with an assist from the White House. And essentially what it does is it lifts these arbitrary caps that were placed several years back on spending through a process known as sequestration. Those across-the-board caps on government funding that Democrats and Republicans alike have chafed at ever since. So it would raise those caps by about $300 billion, Rena, over the next 2 years. And crucially, it would raise those caps across the board. So not just on defense spending, but on non-defense domestic spending as well. Defense spending, a big priority, obviously, for Republicans. Non-defense domestic spending, a big priority for Democrats. We believe that disaster funding will be a part of this deal as well. That means more money to hard-hit areas from recent hurricanes in Florida and Texas and possibly Puerto Rico as well. And we're waiting to see if an increase in the debt ceiling is also going to be a part of that, because the debt ceiling does need to be lifted, we're told by this administration, within the next month or so, and that was going to be yet another battle between Democrats and Republicans, and in some cases an internal battle among Republicans. And so if all these issues can be tied together in one big super bill, it does sweep a lot of pressing issues off the table for Congress. The big question now, as you pointed out, will this agreement be accepted in the House of Representatives? House Republicans are meeting right now to discuss it. Their leaders are laying it out for them. And Nancy Pelosi has said, not that she's against the deal, and that's crucial. She has not said she opposes the deal. She has not called on her Democratic colleagues to vote against it, but she says she can't support it unless she gets some kind of side agreement from the Speaker of the House to do what the Republican leader of the Senate has done, which is to promise a vote soon on a bill to replace DACA, that Obama-era program that is expiring next month, with some kind of legislation that would protect young people who were brought to this country illegally as children.
Speaking of Nancy Pelosi, what's going on over at the House floor there? For 3 hours, she's been up there talking. What's going on?
Well, you know, she's talking about this issue, immigration. There's a lot of concern among Democrats in the House that the Senate seems to be embracing this notion of bipartisanship. When it comes to immigration, you've got these bipartisan groups now where you see 20 or so senators, Republicans and Democrats, all meeting once a day for hours at a time to try to hash out some kind of middle-of-the-road agreement when it comes to these so-called dreamers. And there is a lot of concern that the same commitment does not exist on the House side, and that even if the Senate does manage to pass legislation next week in this very unusual open process that the Senate's Republican leader Mitch McConnell is promising right now, they worry that it'll just end up dying in the House, where conservative Republicans are demanding a plan that looks a lot more like what the White House has proposed. So, you know, Democrats tried once before and failed to really use government funding to try to pressure House and Senate Republicans into some kind of agreement on DACA, but it does appear that for now she's holding out once again, hoping that at the very least the House Speaker will make some kind of public pledge to the effect that he really does want to pass DACA legislation in tandem with the Senate.
Nancy Cortez. Nancy, thank you so much for joining us.